It's my pleasure now to introduce our next speaker, Wayne Healy, who is the Chief Executive Officer, Managing Director of Peninsula Energy. Peninsula, as people may know, are bringing back into production uranium production from the Lance project in Wyoming, US. This is an in situ leach operation that historically produced uranium. In fact, Peninsula is one of the sort of unique companies that continued to generate cash flow during the downturn of the late 2010s period through its existing contract book, which allowed it to generate cash and keep delivering into customer contracts. Anyway, the Lance project's coming back into production again. The aim is late 2024 for first production, and I'll leave it to Wayne to take us through the latest news. Let me stop sharing my screen here, Wayne, and over to you to share your screen and give us the update. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Give me just a moment to pull the presentation up, and we'll be on our way. Everything's working. We should be fine. Look, I just love to start my presentation with this cover slide today. It sets so much context for where Peninsula is as a company and where we're headed in 2024. You know, what you see in this image is the existing facilities at the Lance projects in the state of Wyoming, USA. In the background, the taller profile building is our plant facility. It was built in 2015, and it was built as what in our industry we call a satellite facility, which means it has the ability to capture uranium on ion exchange resins with the columns inside the facility. And then we were shipping the resins to a third-party processor to produce a final sellable product, yellow cake. That's how the buildings and the plant was configured in 2015, but it wasn't licensed that way. It was actually licensed to be a much more significant facility capable of producing the final product, yellow cake. But in 2015, the uranium markets were certainly not like they are today. Um, the and so the company made some capital efficient decisions, including building less than the licensed capacity for the front end, the ion exchange systems. In 2024, it's the aim of the company to take that building and absolutely triple the size of it. We are doing and undertaking a significant construction project to double the uranium production capacity of the facility, to take it not just doubling the capacity, but adding the capability of producing dry yellow cake. The building in the foreground is our office and shop buildings where a lot of the construction activities for the well field go on. But you know, with this picture and the context that this picture provides, let's move into the presentation and take a close look at Peninsula Energy. This presentation in a full form is on the website of the company, which is www.pel.net.au, and I'd encourage you to check out this disclaimer. You know, what we have today is a world-class deposit. The Lance projects are scalable, near-term production asset in a tier one jurisdiction. We are a construction project mostly in 2024, and we're on track now for production in late Q4 of 2024. We funded that effort. The activities of 2024 are now what we consider fully funded. We'll be able to achieve commercial production with the funding on hand. We are looking at securing some additional funding to support the ramp-up phase. The ramp-up phase being, you know, the period from first production to the point where the company is sustainably free cash flow positive, and that really happens for us in the first 9 months of the project. So, you know, we're looking at some additional funding carrying us from first production to free cash flow positive. And we have a couple of different avenues that we're pursuing: debt facilities, government debt, government-backed debt, and the potential for the equity market. Of course, we have the favorable uranium market dynamics, which other speakers have covered today, and I don't actually have in my presentation, but I really appreciate the presentations of the previous speakers. And this company has multiple avenues for growth and resource and production capability, with exciting opportunities at our project areas we call Kendrick, Barber, and Dagger. So as an overview today, the market capitalization of the company is about 253 million Australian dollars, and we sit with about 58 million US dollars in cash pro forma in our accounts today. That's what's funding our operations over the course of and our construction work over the course of this year. We have no term debt, and we have a healthy funding level at this point in time, and a lot of opportunities for securing the additional modest amounts of funding that we need to carry us beyond first production. Our board of directors is quite experienced and running the company in a very capable fashion. Um, but importantly, I think what we want to know is how did we come to this funding situation, and what does it look like for securing additional funding? Really, in November of last year, we announced a capital raise where we were seeking $60 million through an equity raising. 50 million was placed through institutional investors, and 10 million was allowed for existing shareholders through a share purchase plan. Uh, those placement shares had attaching options with them. And the attaching options were priced at 10 cents, and they're short lived. They have a expiry that is now just 1 year out at the end of March of 2025. These options are in the money, and they have actually been exercised to a certain extent already. We've seen about $5 million of cash inflow through the exercise of in the money options since the options were put into the market in January. So we have the potential to raise up to $40 million of additional funding through the option exercise. And we think the trajectory of our share price, the trajectory of the uranium markets in general will fully support that as a additional avenue, making this equity raising account for about $100 million Australian of revenue into the company, funding our activities and moving us, now not just to first production, but into the early months of first production. We'll continue to look at debt facilities. We have an initiative with the U.S. government looking at a government-backed loan. That's moving well. We're talking with non-bank lenders. We're looking at the equity markets. We haven't dropped the pen on completing the full funding of the project beyond first production, but we're also not in a situation where we're stressed about the immediate need of cash. We have opportunity of time to solve this matter and to make sure that we fund our company in a way that's most attractive and appealing for our shareholders. We have a very experienced management team. Myself, I've been in the U.S. uranium industry since 1988, which is a 35 plus year career. Ralph Canode, who runs our project level, has about 10 more years than I do. He's just an absolute a top man in the uranium industry in the United States. Pleased to have him on our team, and then we add folks like Brian and Jay and Dave, each with over 20 years of experience. Coming in with operations, project construction, financial accounting, significant uranium mining careers, each individually, all together in one very capable management team, with design, construction, operations experience. This is a leading team in the U.S. uranium industry, and we're very pleased to have this team in place and ready for the coming months, which are key to the future of the company. Mr. Willy Bezuidenhout is serving us in the vice president of corporate development role, and I'm pleased to share with you that he'll be stepping up into an interim role of corporate CFO, as our current CFO has opted to move on for personal reasons. Let's talk about the Lance project quickly. This project is located in the state of Wyoming. It's in the northeast corner in the Powder River Basin. The state of Wyoming is a tier one mining jurisdiction. And by that, I mean, look, we lead the nation in coal production. We lead the nation in uranium production. These are all uranium production licensed or proposed operations in the state. We are a mining and resource extraction state. We produce oil and gas, trona, coal, uranium. Whatever resources we have, the people of Wyoming are interested in extraction, and mining is a key part of our economy, and it's a good state to do business in. With regulation in house, we go down to our state capital rather than the nation's capital to get our approvals. The project area itself for the Lance projects has been subdivided into three areas. We're getting the Ross area ready for production again. It's fully licensed. It has about 6 million pounds of resources remaining, and it's the home of our processing facility and two previous mining units. We're also preparing the Kendrick development area for production. We have the license applications in front of the regulators and anticipate seeing approvals coming in around mid-year this year. So the Kendrick area holds another 16 million pounds of resource, and that's where we'll move to after we produce out of Ross. Ross and Kendrick represent the two areas of where we'll produce in the next 10 years of our mine plan. And then the larger area, the Barber area, is an exploration area. It holds about 32 million pounds of resource. Collectively, the Lance project has about 54 million pounds of resource, making it one of the largest U.S. uranium assets known. We use in situ uranium recovery processes, and we've shifted from an alkaline chemistry to a low pH chemistry. This is ecologically friendly. This is a great way to produce uranium, and over 60% of the global uranium production is done by in situ recovery, and most of it is done by the low pH chemistry formulation, which we're shifting to. So back in 2015, this project was built. What you see here is the inside of our plant facility and one of our wellfield areas. It was licensed to produce up to 3 million pounds a year. It's scalable, and it was constructed though as a satellite facility, so we were able to produce uranium on resins. Today, we're getting ready to prepare the project for expansion, and what we're actually doing now is we've completed a transition internally so that the facility is now capable of using the low pH chemistry. We've completed the licensing on that as well. And we did a definitive feasibility study back in 2022. We updated that study in the middle of last year, so we have very current economics. But in our updated study, what we plan to do is expand the production capacity, doubling the ion exchange capacity in the plant, and then adding the capability of producing the final dry yellow cake. That's the goal. That's the objective for this year. That's what we're most focused on. So construction is now progressing. We've completed the low pH transition construction efforts. You could see some of the pictures of the inside of the existing plant and the outside where we've added bulk storage and distribution systems for sulfuric acid, which is a key part of our low pH chemistry. We're beginning construction on some of the auxiliary facilities. We're also, we're finishing up the detailed engineering, and we have the construction projects out for bids. We expect to be awarding a construction contract in the very, very near future. With the appointment of a construction contractor, we expect them to be able to move to the site really quickly, and that'll keep us on track for the construction project to get us to first production at the end of the year. Along with the plant construction, we're putting significant monies into new wellfield development. Wellfields are our mining areas. We have crews on hand right now building new header houses. We have 8 drilling rigs in the wellfield, preparing production and injection patterns so that we have new areas to mine when the project is up and running at the end of the year. We've made significant efforts and progress in preparing new well fields, and we're well ahead of the game, feeling very comfortable with our efforts and progress on well field construction. Our timeline looks like this. We look to select a construction contractor very soon. I have March, it might be early April. We'll commence plant construction as soon as April. We have some drilling to do. We want to look at resource expansion in and around Kendrick and the Barber areas. We continue to drill in the first header house areas and the mine unit 3 areas. We think we'll have those areas ready by August, and so that we can get them flowing and ready for production towards the end of the year. We have to do well field preconditioning. It usually takes 2 to 3 months. So in the third quarter, we expected to do well field preconditioning, and we still think we're on track to be in production by the end of this year. That means we'll be delivering product in the second quarter of 2025 and achieving positive cash flow on a month in, month out basis sometime in the third quarter of 2025. Our economics look a lot like this. When we updated our life of mine plan in last August, we thought we'd realize an average price in sales of uranium of about $67 a pound. Our all-in sustaining cost is about $42 a pound. So it's very economic. This is a good opportunity for us. Over the next 10 years, we expect to produce about 15 million pounds of uranium. And really, this is the production profile that we're projecting into the market. Is that 2025 we could produce over 1 million pounds and become cash flow positive. We'll continue to ramp up our production profile between now and the end of the decade, achieving about 1.8 million pounds per year in the latter part of the decade. But with the restart late in 2024, 2025 looks to be a good year with over 1 million pounds of production. We'll be ready for that. We'll shift our production from the Ross area where we are today into the Kendrick area and rely heavily on the Kendrick area, which is licensing is nearing completion and will be well ahead of the need, which is really, Kendrick is scheduled to come on in 2027. So we're again way ahead of the curve. Um, our company has a sales contract portfolio, and what I want to share with you here very quickly is that here's what it looks like for us. Projected sales versus contracted sales. We have a comfortable margin. Where projected sales is significantly higher than our contracted commitments. In 2025, our commitments are about 450,000 pounds. We have no commitments for this year. We've cleared the decks with the utilities and rescheduled them into 26, 7, and 8. Like a lot of other companies, we consider our contracts in 26, 27, 28 to be the level that we want. We're effectively sold out. We have some materials for the spot market, but we don't look to add significantly more material in 26, 27, 28 into our contract portfolio. Our portfolio is generating a pricing that's very supportive of our project, and we're happy to be there. So milestones for this year will be the initiation of construction in the very near future, continued development of new well fields for production, resource expansion drilling within the Lance areas, and our Dagger project was just a little bit to the northeast of Lance. We're continuing to work towards securing the additional funding needed during the ramp-up phase. And the most exciting thing for Peninsula in 2024 has to be our expectation that we'll be commencing uranium production late in the year. So with that, Andrew, I'll take questions from you.
Thank you, Wayne. Yeah, we do have time for a quick question. So I guess the key question I think most people are asking on Peninsula these days is around the financing and the negotiations you're in with the US government around DOE funding. And can you give us any update on what the feedback from the government is on that, and what likely time scale for completing those negotiations?
Right. So, one of the leading initiatives that we have is a debt program with the U.S. government. We have put in an application for a clean energy loan. We don't have terms and conditions that we can announce at this time, but we know that the U.S. government has found this to be a very interesting and strategic loan application. We feel it'll be very well supported in amongst the loan program, and timing for it certainly is. It's a government loan process. It'll take a little longer than the commercial loans that we can see from others. But I would anticipate that we'll have good news flow on this subject in the not too distant future, and it'll also give clarity to timelines and processes. But today, I think it's fair to expect that a government loan process could take us out towards the end of the year before we saw full funding. But
Yeah,
that's okay because we have the funding for this year. So if we're on that path, that'll be fine.
yeah, understood. Wayne, look, thank you so much. We are out of time, so thank you so much for joining us this morning, and good luck in the next few months as you bring Lance back into production. It's an exciting time for you and the company, and we look forward to seeing first production later in 2024.
Thank you, Andrew. Greatly appreciate your support as well.
Thank you.